And welcome to the Road by Me podcast, where we discuss where you have been, what you have done, and where you are going with our guests. We hope to provide you, our listener, a new perspective and person to connect with. Today, we have the one and only JD Singh, and I just want to take a moment to say welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. So should I address you by
Yeah,
Django?
Django.
Django. All right, man. I'm doing pretty good. How are you
I'm
doing,
doing
man?
sensational, man. I'm really happy to have you here. I literally a quick turnaround, same day. I messaged you like, "Hey, you want to come on the pod?" And you were like, "I'd love to come on the pod." So, absolutely sensational to
Yeah.
have you. Why don't we take a quick minute, tell the people more about your story and sort of where you've been?
Yeah, man. So I'm in my call it mid-30s, and uh, so I've been in the digital realm, so it's called the digital marketing area, and I was a programmer in my earlier years.
Hmm.
I've been a kid where I've been really driven.
Hmm.
I had a lot of losses, and I had a couple of home runs
Hmm.
that sort of helped me understand the reality that I was in early on in
Okay.
life. Basically, as I worked hard, my family was really strict,
Hmm.
so I had to build up discipline,
Hmm.
which was good, and I hated it when I was younger. I didn't like that at all. But I I went through the stage of growth, and then I was married. I don't have any kids. That's God's
Hmm.
grace. But I was having a good life in my till my like mid or late 20s or so, and something didn't feel right to me because I was doing everything right, meaning I was graduated from college, I had a beautiful wife, I had a good job, I had the status, cars, the house, and everything else, right? However, like I didn't feel like I was being me,
Hmm.
and over time, like as I was getting close to my 30s, it just started to sort of eat inside of me. And I didn't know what to like make sense of it, like, because I know it wasn't like I was like, am I sick? Something else going on? And anybody I would talk to, they would just say, "Oh, it will go away. It will go away. It will go away." And I would try to take that word, but then it just didn't feel right with me. So I hit a point where I lost my job.
Hmm.
My ex-wife and I weren't getting
Hmm.
along, and something just didn't feel like I belonged to what I was doing. Even though I had everything, I had nothing in that sense. That was the feeling,
Hmm.
and it was a terrible feeling, and it was in my gut, which just wasn't right. So I had this one day. I was sitting down, I heard this noise where it said something needs to
Hmm.
change, and it was this inner voice which I couldn't ignore. It was just so real to me, which that I had to listen to. From that voice, sort of started my journey of discovering myself, and I had to change my environment. I asked my couple of my friends first, say, you want to go with me out of country somewhere, or do you want to be somewhere? I need to be away from it all, and nobody was available. So I said, well, all right, I'm still need to do it, right? So I packed up my bags, told everybody that this is what I'm gonna do, and I didn't care if people liked it or not, right? I didn't care if they had any thoughts or not. I had to do it because I just wasn't feeling right. So I ended up in Thailand, and this beautiful island of Phuket. And I started looking at myself. But when I got there, I still like it. Just I didn't know what the question was or what do I need to like do
Hmm.
in order to get this feeling off of me. So the question really, like from that point, as I got there the first couple of days, like I got in my bed and I cried because I didn't know if I knew I wasn't sick, like, but there's something in my gut like was telling me that it needs to change, right? Something needs to,
Yeah.
so I had to rediscover myself. That's what the feeling was till I asked the question of who am I, and then I just started going from that starting point to 21 days. Every day, I asked a question or a couple of questions, and I would take a whole day to look at it from every single angle, every single perspective as I could, and took deeper and deeper dives into these questions to understand myself. What do I truly feel and how I truly am?
Hmm.
And that helped me really unlock some of my blockages that I had, and I transformed in a towards the end of my journey, and I completely became a different person.
Wow. I.
And after that, 5 years after that, or 4 or 5 years after that, There was this guiding voice, call it God.
Hmm.
I did connect with God, I feel like, and my experience was so real that I can't deny it.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm just letting him work through me now.
Wow.
That's where I am.
I resonate with your story 100%. And I had similar processes of I was engaged, so everything was pretty good as to how it was. Work was good. Everything was good. And it just there was something that felt like it was missing. And I asked a lot of people, I asked other people, I was like, hey, I can't figure it out. What am I missing? Can you help me? And it's just like no one had any answers. And I
Yeah.
kept asking myself, like, what is the answer that I'm missing? And after a while, I realized that I just had to keep asking questions. It wasn't so much about the answers as much as it was about the questions that I was even willing to ask and be honest with myself about. And that really was like the beginning of my journey in a lot of ways. So all these years have passed now, and where are you now? What are you doing now?
Yeah, man. So especially this year, this need for me to kind of like it's the starting point, call it
Hmm.
that. That's how I feel.
Hmm.
That now it's time for me to kind of do my thing. So I don't know if you had a chance to look through my profile, but I've been creating a lot of these thought-provoking videos,
Hmm.
questions and realizations, because I do feel like once a person goes through this journey, they're able to become a better version of themselves. Call it that. It's so cheesy making it sound like because I was never just like this in the past, right? But I truly believe and I truly feel that once a person gets to know themselves, they become much more stronger as a person. They unlock their superpowers, call it human superpowers. That's the ability to feel everything and see all these emotions. Are superpowers in that way.
Hmm.
That's what I call it, a position in that. And they truly are once sort of managed instead of running away from your some of your beliefs or being stuck to something. I think by addressing and being honest to yourself, like you said, is the most crucial part of your personal development.
Mm. Let me ask you I have a this is a genuine question.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
did you know who you like at what point did you know who you were? Like because we asked the question a lot, right?
yeah.
Like I went through a lot of iterations of this process. There were moments where I was like, this is Django. I've now, it was Enneagram, it was like other things, and I've asked a lot of questions and realized that sometimes the versions that I believed I was, it was kind of an illusion in a way, or something that I was grasping at. At what point did you sort of realize who you are, and to some extent, like who are you really? How would you describe it?
Yeah, man, great question. Um, so the stage when I figured out or felt whole, call it that. I think that's the right way to position it. I felt whole, meaning I knew every single aspect of myself. Was a time when, towards the end of my journey, I had this. The closest thing that I can find to it is called an ego death,
Uh-huh.
I think. But I went through a stage where I had to battle my demons, and I fought every single one of the most terrifying nightmares that I ever had, and they were so real. And it was literally me being in a different dimension, and I had to die to raise myself, and became one with myself, meaning it was a unity of the two, of my dark side and my light side, call it that, the thing that's their core trapped within a
Hmm.
person because of all these um, social chains that are put on it
Hmm.
for acting a certain way were broken, and I needed its help. So when it raised, that's when I felt like, holy shit, like we could. This is like I felt a whole different level of like energy,
Hmm.
strength, this limitless, fearless type of energy
Hmm.
that you're capable of anything.
Hmm.
All right, that's when you become whole. I think that's what you truly understand, that you could be anything. You're nothing in the first place, but then you have the ability to be anything,
Hmm.
and that's amazing sort of realization, understanding to have within a person to be able to really drive whatever. And that's not an illusion at that point, because you have, well, it could be an illusion, to be honest. Technically, everything's an illusion in that sense, right? Could be, you could say anything is an illusion, right? Because you can't really prove it to be. But the fact is that we are here, we're doing it. So maybe that's not the right question to ask if it's an illusion or not. I think the question would be like, do you feel real? Do you feel like what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing? And do you feel like that, as you're doing it? Right? Are you on the path, and are you, whether it's being built for you or you're building it yourself, or with the help of others, right? Whatever that is, outside forces, inside, whatever that is, is that real to you? And how real is it? That makes it real. Simple as that.
I feel that. One of my favorite books is How Real is Real. It's a
Hmm.
really interesting book. It talks about the concept of language, especially in how the meaning that we derive from language is only as real as we each individually view it to be. And it's hard. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
describe something to someone for them to then accept it and believe it. That makes it real for them. But it's almost impossible to ever know, especially when talking about things that aren't physical, like if you're talking about the same thing, like the ideas of love or joy or anger. Like we think conceptually we know that everyone thinks the same thing, but it's not always the case. And
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what's really
Very
interesting
true.
about what you're saying is like physically it appears that we are here, right? We are having an experience. So we can get caught up on the ideas of free will or not having it. We can get caught up on the idea of is it an illusion or not an illusion. I think that the space where you can find something great though is just asking yourself, well, if I am real, what do I want to do? Like what is my next step? What would I
Exactly.
actually like to do genuinely, me, instead of like what do I think they want me to do? How do they want me to act? It's definitely an interesting concept. So let me take that minute to ask a question of what is it that you're working on now, and sort of how are you, because it sounds like you want to help people, how are you currently maybe trying to spread the message and get out there to communicate with people?
So right now, dude, I'm just trying to live, right? I try to cherish the moments that I'm living, whether it's struggling, but being aware that I'm in the situation and then being able to, navigate through it without having to feel like a victim or like any of these so these feelings of like, oh, I mean, I feel everything, right? And I understand that we have to go through these cycles, but I'm more open to it. I'm accepted, and because of that it becomes a little bit easier for me. So how I'm trying to help is I'm trying to help others and myself. That's what my goal
Okay.
is here, right? So I want to be able to live, meaning comfortable life in the society. I have to pay for bills and all that stuff, right? So I need to make money somehow, right? I did have a full-time job. I started this company. My goal is to drive this as much as like possible. I also started a company called AISourceHub.com, which is a digital marketing agency. And the goal here is to help businesses and any people give them the tools to make their life a little bit easier. And Self Improve Hub is a division of AI Source Hub. And self improvement is all about personal development. So I have created these chat bots, these coach based bots, where the goal here is to kind of utilize AI to help people um, improve. Well, not improve, but if they feel stuck, find a way out, right? So utilizing the resources, the tools for them, making it available to them, so they can use it to guide
Mm,
themselves, right? If needed, self improve, right? It's your desire for you to improve, and that's how I sort of position it.
I like that. I will say the tough part about language is when you're communicating, like what you were just saying, it's like not quite improving. I like what it is, and when you say the words, you want to make sure you're saying the right words because you don't want people to get caught up in like the idea of, oh, this guy's going to help me improve who I am because I'm not good enough, or it's interesting as you even for me, like when I try to communicate my ideas and my app and things like that. I struggle sometimes to actually find the words that I think will actually resonate with the people to understand what my goal is for what the product is that I'm building.
Yeah, so that's a good point, and it's good to be cautious and aware of that. However, like I don't let that ever hang me up, because you know what, the truth is that people are going to perceive things their way,
Yeah,
and that's the truth, right? No matter how you say it, what you say, there might be somebody that might take it a different way, because that's just how language works. That's how words just
yeah.
naturally works, right? So no matter, you can't try to be the best. You never be like that, because the language is built in that sense, and how people perceive it is also that way. So accepting it and then flowing with what you're flowing. And if they ask a question, then you can clarify,
Right.
right?
100%.
But you can't assume that we have. You don't have to be careful. You just got to speak your mind the way you want, the authentic you, the true you. I think that's what makes the person really be authentic. And if somebody perceives it in a different way, that's their way of thinking, right? It's not your way of thinking. So that needs to be sort of, I think, could be
Yeah,
clarified. But that's just language,
I
yeah.
know, I agree. I think I use certain language for so long that certain words are the automatic. And when I hear myself say them, I go for a quick second, like, I don't really know if that's the word that I'm actually looking for. And so it's not necessarily that even it's about the person taking it a certain way, because one of my favorite quotes, it's in like the five levels of attachment, is that I am not in charge of how you like the meaning you derive from my words. I'm just in charge of the words that I use. However, you take it is more a mirror of yourself. But because I am more aware of that, I've actually become very aware of a lot of the language that I use isn't actually what I would want to use. It's not actually the words that are reflective of my life anymore. So it's really interesting trying to
Uh,
figure out
yeah,
where
yeah.
words are actually a reflection of the meaning that I actually derive now, if that makes sense.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's a very good point.
I wanted to ask you, so it sounds like, you're putting this together. It sounds like the technology can be really supportive of people. What is your dream, I guess, for this reality, right? We just talked about how we are real and, we are here, it seems. So for you, as you are building things, what is the way that you hope you can see reality be shaped? Like, what is your dream of what reality could be?
It's a selfish approach here. Okay. Because I could choose to live however I want, right? One of the questions was, as I discovered who I was,
Mhm.
well, okay, so I understand that I could be good, I could be bad, I could be ugly, I could do whatever, right? It's possible. It's all possibilities opened up at that point. So then how do I want to live? That was the next question naturally sort of came after that, right? Because do I want to live in the society, right? I can go to the jungle, it's gonna live, build a little hut, and just like live with the nature and just call it done. And whenever life goes. But I looked at the flip side of the coin. I was like, hey, the society, this reality does offer a lot of luxuries, a lot of things I still want to try, experiences that still need to be built out, right? That I want to experience. So that was also true. So they both were true. So how do we do that? Uh, so one of so I said, all right, well, I can like now so my sort of mentality changed, my mindset changed. I said I could take myself out of any situation I want because I'm not attached to anything per se, right? So you could cuss me out. I can choose to talk back to you, or I can just be like, it doesn't matter to me. Your words won't affect me, right? Because of sort of how I sort of take myself and look at myself, right? I love myself a lot for anybody else to let it affect me in any way. Okay. If they do, that's not to say that they won't, right? Because that's also part of the whole picture is being aware of that it could be affected, but then navigating your way through it. Okay. So accepting all aspects of it. And the way I want to live, the answer that came to me was that I want to live a joyful, blissful life. Those two, when that became clear, when that answer became clear within myself to the question of, how do I want to live? And as soon as I said, this feels true to me, all my anxieties, all my stress, everything, I just felt like a feather. And and so how do I do that? Right? That was again like, well, I can't live a joyful, blissful life if everybody else around me is like bitching and crying and complaining all the time, right? It's just gonna be like, sorry, can I use the word cuss words in here? Is that, yeah, that's cool, right? Awesome. So I said, well, I can't really do that. I was like, well, okay, sometimes I can take out of the situation, some guy I can enjoy the show, or I can also add to the society by cheering people up, bringing joy for people, helping them see a different perspective, because it's all about like perceptions and perspective, and they're all selective in that sense. And said, all right, well, if I could, if I could interject in a tough situation to kind of help make it easier, so they become joyful, because if they're joyful, people around me are joyful, then my life will be a little bit more joyful too. But if people are complaining and fighting with each other, then my life will be affected somehow. And if I want to live in an environment, that's the environment I want to create. And it was from that simple, selfish reason I said, what can I do? And I said, well, little by little, because I know change is tough, and I know that people, it takes a lot of courage to face yourself.
Mm,
It takes a lot of courage to face these tough questions that raise when you go through this journey,
mhm,
right? It's not easy because you have that honesty, that social chain that's on you, on that whatever the question perspective that's built within you.
mhm,
To break through that, you have to be open. You have to be non-judgmental of yourself and others, right? And to be willing to then be honest with yourself to find what your true answer is.
mhm,
And I think that could be depending on the question and sort of trauma or whatever the person has gone through from the past that made them believe a certain belief. breaking through that sometimes could be hard.
Hmm.
It's understandable. So, so I started, okay, well, let me just speak my mind. I got to share my experiences. I've got to become vulnerable. I got to put my face out there. So let me just do all of that,
Mm.
okay, to show people that it's possible. Simple as that.
Great. I don't think I think that you have to love yourself in a way to be able to love others, like you gotta
Yeah,
be non,
absolutely.
be
Absolutely.
truly non-judgmental of others. You have to you have to become, what's the right word here? In order to be truly non-judgmental of others, you have to stop judging yourself. You have to stop putting conditions on yourself. And while
And
that
that's
can
fair.
be a tough process, I think it could be a beautiful process. But you do, I think, always have to start with yourself in a lot of ways. Um, yeah.
100%, bro. And that's how I felt through the process. Is yeah, learning to love yourself first is number one key for sure, 100%. And then through that process, you get to love others. You see that, love is the answer. Because why? What else would you want? Why do you want to Why do you want to make it life miserable, right? Some people want that too, because you become capable of anything, right? However, through love, I think it becomes your life will become easier too, and the other person's life becomes easier too. And these experiences that
Hmm.
we are having, will become a little bit more better,
Yeah. I
hopefully.
can,
But we got to experience all of it. That's also true.
yeah, I think,
The miseries, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of
yeah,
it
we're all
needs to
we're
be
all
part of the
going
experience.
through that experience. What's sort of your dream for the businesses that you're building, for the company that you're building? What's your goal for the company?
Not really, man. There's no like goal per se. If people use it, if the right person that needs it finds it and is able to use it, I win. Simple as that, right? And then if it's able to pay my bill, I win double. Uh, and that's it, right? Because I don't have a need to this is God's work, call it that.
Hmm.
With the capabilities that I have, that's what I'm doing. And I do have to pay my bills. Like that is a concern. It raises within me, but it doesn't what happens is every time I get busy not doing this work, God clears the way for me.
Mm.
So whether it's like my family or my job or something that's taking too much of my time and I can't dedicate to this, what we're doing today right now, is that God will find a way to clear that path for me. And then that's why I'm able to do what I'm doing today, is to have this podcast with you. It's amazing how that works, but little by little, like it's I don't judge it. I don't hope for it, but I know that it's whatever I'm doing, it's doing it for the right people that needs to see it or needs to have it.
Hmm.
And that's a satisfying feeling for me within myself.
I love that. How could the people find and connect with you? I know you said the site earlier, but I'd love for you to sort of say it again and kind of give the people a way to be able to connect.
Yeah, man. So people can connect with me through TikTok,
Uh-huh.
right? JD Questions is my username.
Okay.
They can also connect with me through my company website, which is selfimprovehub.com. And also, if businesses, if they're listening to this, they can also reach me by aisourcehub.com, which is the new agency, digital AI marketing agency that I'm putting together for businesses if they if they need help in that area.
Hmm.
So aisourcehub.com is another method of reaching me.
Awesome.
And then I'll give you my phone number, but I think that might be a little too much for now. But my phone number is on the website, so
Awesome.
it's okay. You don't get it from there.
And
Yeah.
I always like to ask this question because you never know who's out there. What are you maybe in need of, or how could someone support you in your journey and everything kind of going on?
Oh, thank you, man. That's the first time somebody ever asked me that question. Uh, that's awesome, man. I guess more connections. That's what I would want. I would want more right connections where people want to work with me.
Mhm.
Right. If I could contribute to their success and be successful together, then that's amazing. That works for me.
I like that.
Um, yeah.
I like that. Well, I got a couple quick questions for you. I like to do a quick round of interesting questions. Who inspires you?
Myself and my
Okay.
dad and I guess everything else inspires me.
Yeah.
Call it that. Yeah, I get inspired by everything. When something triggers, when I become I love having these aha moments,
Mhm.
right? Call it that. And I think I have this natural sort of after my transformation, I have this natural level of curiosity. It's heightened curiosity, if anything, not
Mhm.
natural. Heightened curiosity. Yeah. I get excited about little things, and that makes my life a little bit more fun.
Okay, I like that. And then, what are three books that changed your life?
I don't read that many books, man.
What's
I don't read books.
that's
I haven't read a book in
okay?
years.
That's awesome. What is who? Okay, then are you into like any type of philosophers? Like I'm into Alan Watts.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
love Alan
Okay. So
Watts, man.
who are
Yeah,
maybe
he's my
who are your
favorite.
top two philosophers maybe you listen to and check in on?
Alan Watts definitely is on top of my
Okay.
list. He's an amazing philosopher. I think he has his questioning of reality and how he explains it. It does phenomenal job of how he describes and sees the reality, right? I think it's a beautiful thing and how he showcases it with his language is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and another philosopher, who else? I just what's his name? I think I saw this Alexandra something.
Mm.
I forgot the last name of it, but I see he's I started listening to it. I gotta look it up, but I'll say Alan Watts probably one of my main ones.
Do you
Just been I've been listening to him recently.
are
Yeah.
you a big well, so I would say I'm pretty big on Alan Watts, but I also love Sadhguru. I really enjoyed Sadhguru recently.
Oh yeah. I know
And
Satoru too. Yeah.
I don't listen to Eckhart Tolle as much because he talks so slow. It's kind of tough for me to follow, but I loved his books, and Eckhart Tolle's been really cool too. So big fan.
You know, I just heard that. What's his name again? Eric Tola.
Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, he has like the book
Yeah,
now.
somebody brought him up. Yeah,
Yeah, he's awesome.
I don't know much about him though.
Check him out.
But
He's
yeah,
got some really big books. But
yeah.
I want to at the end of these, I always want to take a minute to give you the opportunity for a mix of affirmations or just something that you would want to leave the people with. Because I really think that it's always great to be able to just sort of speak something either towards people, into people, whatever it is that you might want to share to sort of leave people with as a reminder of you or even a reminder of themselves. What would you want to give?
I would just say, ask the question, what kind of life do you want to live,
Mm,
and go from there.
I like that.
And not just hopeful, but being honest with yourself, right? And then what, right? So asking yourself the question, ask yourself as many questions as possible.
Hmm.
But what kind of life do you want to live? Just start there.
I like.
And little by little spend time on it to figure out what you can do, what's there, what's not there, and how you can shape it. Create your reality.
That's beautiful. I seriously enjoyed this. I'm so thankful that we got to connect today. I mean, literally
Yeah.
same day podcast. This is the first. I don't know if this happens in the streets that often, but it's incredible that we got to connect. I'm so thankful to have you here. I mean, you are amazing, incredible, fantastic, sensational. I mean, immaculate. It was an incredible podcast. So, thank you so much.
Dude, you're amazing too. I just came across your, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I was like, this guy knows exactly what's, he's been there down this path. He knows what's up, right?
Yeah,
And that I just resonated. And because you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, you're gonna bring joy into people's life by helping them realize and see themselves, right, in a different light.
yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing because that's my goal to make other people a little bit more joyful. But you have to go through the process of understanding yourself.
I
So you're amazing. I'm so glad I connected with you, bro. You're keep doing what you're doing. Keep rocking it, man. I wish you all the best.
thank you, man. Well, this has been another episode of the Rope by Me This has been another episode of the Rope by Me podcast with JD Singh. Thank you so much again. And until next time, peace.
Much love, brother. Take care.